Hello, Mr. Betts here. I want to continue the discussion on some of these rules that we're going to use as shortcuts for taking derivatives. And in another video in this section, I introduced four rules: the constant rule, the sum rule, the difference rule, and the constant multiple rule. And I mentioned that by putting those rules together, we could take the derivative of any polynomial. So I want to talk about that with a specific example here and talk about how we're using these different rules here. So first of all, I'm going to use the sum and difference rule here, which is the one bottom left, to basically look at each of the terms individually. So we can split this up into four separate terms and take the derivative of each of those terms individually. Now, looking at those terms individually, we can take the derivative of those using a couple of different rules. So in this one right here, this 4 is a constant, and it's a constant that's being multiplied by x to the third. So that means that we can use this constant multiple rule. And along with the constant multiple rule, that x to the third is in a format that we can use with the power rule. So to take the derivative of just that x to the third, that's going to give us 3x squared using the power rule. The constant multiple rule says then that we multiply that by 4. So our derivative then is going to be 4 times 3x squared, which is going to be 12x squared. Okay, some people will write the 4 and then write the 3x squared. So this is the constant multiple, and this is the derivative of the x cubed using the power rule. There is absolutely nothing wrong with doing that in your head. That is math that I hope you can do in your head. And then we move on and we do it with each of the succeeding terms. So derivative of x squared using the power rule is going to be 2x to the first, or just 2x. So the sum rule says we can add 7 times 2x is going to be 14x. Then this is kind of an interesting one here. We could actually take the derivative of this negative 2x if we think about the graph of the function y equals negative 2x. That's just a straight line with a slope of negative 2. So the derivative of that term is going to be negative 2. We could also think of this as using the power rule. So this is 2x to the first power, and the derivative of x to the first power is going to be 1x to the 0 power. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1, so the derivative of x is just 1. Then constant multiple rule says we multiply it by that negative 2, and we get negative 2 for our derivative there. Then getting down to our last term here, the last term, since it's a constant, we're going to use the constant rule here. The derivative of any constant is 0, so that minus 14 just disappears, and we get this as our derivative. Once you get a little bit of practice with this, taking derivatives of polynomials should be really easy. So a problem like this shouldn't take you more than a few seconds, and it's just basically a matter of writing down an answer.